on now and sticking with all things apps. Super apps versus the ultra apps, the future of apps, government services, and conversational commerce coming your way in just a few moments' time. Who'd take us there? Well, a man who's making a statement in two, that's for sure. One of the leading entrepreneurs, not just here in the country, anywhere in the MENA region at the moment, co-founder and the CEO of Astratech. It's a UAE-based technology investment and development group, one that has been acquiring a number of other entities, recently acquired Rizek Payby, most recently Botim as well, as he and his team look to relaunch a revolutionary new ultra app, if you like, to make us rethink how we approach our apps. Anyway, let's let him tell you all about that one, because he is the man that can. The co-founder and the CEO of Astratech is in the theatre tonight. Please welcome Abdullah Abu Sheikh.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to try and keep this as brief as possible. I don't see a lot of you, but people look tired. So today I'm just going to be a bit more technical and take you through government services. Most of us here in the room have been privy to using a government service or two digitally, especially through COVID. But even though we've been pushed through COVID to try and digitize as much as possible, a lot of governments have been pushed in a way to entice the use of technology within government services. To date, we still don't see a truly fully digital government. We still don't see a truly fully digitized scope of services. So I'm going to try and go a bit about that. And to understand that, I think it's very important for all of us to understand how apps evolved and why do we have technology as we have it today. Very long time ago, when technology started, governments are much older than technology as we know it today in its current shape. And there were three main drivers that were driving the speed of technology adoption. One is the speed of internet. So most of us in this room started using the internet on a desktop. And if you think about it, desktops are very expensive devices. They cannot really be used in remote areas. And so adoption was hurdled by the use of much bigger computers and so on. As the speed of internet, the quality of chips and the cost of manufacturing went down, we started moving more and more towards smaller computers that are handheld. And as we see them today, as telephones got smarter and the internet got faster, people started having apps in the shape and form that we see today. As you would see, governments did not adopt as fast. So until today, you still have governments that are fully brick and mortar. If you look at places like Europe or the US, they are very behind on the technology curve. They have not been keeping up to par with how fast technology is moving, unlike places like the UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, where you see technology peaking really, really quickly. The main factor in technology adoption for governments, and the one thing that did not enable governments to take their digitization schemes where they wanted it to be, is user experience. And this is what I mainly want to touch on about, and this is where Astra is trying to make a difference. So if anybody lives in Dubai today, you have a bunch of platforms that you can use, very dispersed. You can pick a service at each or other platform, but still you really do not have the user experience that have entitled mass user adoption as we would like to see it. So if we look at government services and how the government has been focusing on digitizing government services and how different companies have been trying to push this through, you would see that government services at the bottom layer are mass services. Those are services that more and more people on daily basis can do, things like bill payments, things like traffic fines, and those are base layer government services. And those have been, to a large extent, very well digitized. So a lot of us here in this room today, we're probably paying our bills online, and we have it in some sort of fragmented way, but we're still doing it. If you go up the government service pyramid and you start looking at mid-level services that have more friction to them, things like a land contract or things like signing a contract and what have you, you still find that is extremely still brick and mortar, pen and paper, and what have you. Maybe less so in the UAE, but by far and large in the region across the world. So what we're trying, and the reason most of those services have not been adopted at a large scale is because there has been a massive lack in user experience configuration within governments. So we have not seen governments being able to entice the use of technology by different generational and financial groups, right? So within a government, within a populace, you usually have many different age groups and many different financial groups. And there has not been a one-size-fits-all technology platform that enabled the government to reach out to everyone just as well. So if you look at most of the platforms that you have today, those are platforms that maybe I can use, but somebody like my grandmother probably can't. And vice versa. Maybe I can use it, but a blue collar in a labor camp probably cannot. And this is where digital literacy becomes a massive question in the user experience of adopting government services on digital technology. So a lot of you have been hearing me for the past while maybe talking about ultra platforms, and the reason an ultra platform is what is to come beyond super platforms. And the reason I believe ultra platforms are going to be the next generation of apps or the next generation of platforms is because by far and large, most super platforms have been a financial failure if you do the metrics. The other part is that most super platforms or so-called super platforms have not been able to scale at mass. So you would not be able to use a government app or a government platform in many other things that are not government related. And that also hurdles adoption more and more. And the last part is what I keep referring to, user experience. Obviously, if people who are of older age or of lesser financial means are not being targeted within the same digital platform, it is very difficult to entice adoption and incentivize it within those financial and age groups. So why Astra, and why do we think we're ahead in this part of the world? So within the Astra ecosystem and those who are privy to it, we have managed to amass more than 100 million users across 155 countries, which shows that our tools at base are being used at large scale. And the reason we think that's the case is because we use communication as a base case layer. And communication, unlike many different digital native platforms, comms are for everyone. The blue collar, the white collar, the younger guy, the older guy, the teenager, the kid, everybody is communicating one way or another. Everybody knows how to send a message, attach a picture, send their location. Everybody in this room is probably communicating 6 or 7 hours a day on their phone with somebody or another, right? And this is where we feel that the utilization of communications tools can really entice and ignite massive scale user adoption within government services as well. So very quickly, and just to wrap this up, by a show of hands, who here uses Bottom? Anybody? That's a lot of people. Good. So everybody that's using Bottom, and now we've talked about it, I've talked about the user experience and so on, but just to put case in point and just to show you a bit of what we're trying to do on Astra, everybody here that's on the platform within the next few weeks will be able to do things that look like this, and I hope this works. Even if it doesn't work, just clap at the end of it. That's the clapping part. Good. So if we can see here, this might look like a very intuitive user experience, but what is actually happening here is today, how many people here pay bills online in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, wherever you are? Just her? Okay, good. So today you're receiving your bill via email or an SMS, and that takes you through a hyperlink to another platform. And within that platform, you need to input your information and what have you, and then you get to pay. So if you look at the accumulative digital burden that you're creating with a transaction like that, 4 or 5 platforms are at action, your SMS, your browser, your phone, and so on and so forth, until you get to the transaction. What we're trying to do is lead more government services that are happening through a more conversational commerce basis, where you would receive that bill into the same platform and you'd be able to pay it and check out. So this is just a sample of what we're trying to do, and thank you all very much.